imagine an old world of sales. You have your little black book and you have your own notes. You're like, okay, this plant here, they make this. And 2 weeks ago, they needed to sell this truckload of something. Well, now we have that all in the platform that you can sort by that. You can say, I want to find every company in our system that produces grass-fed beef.
Welcome to MeatsPad, a platform dedicated to sharing breakthrough knowledge that is accessible to the meats industry. On each episode, we will hear from meat specialists and professionals to talk about numerous topics in meat science. This podcast is brought to you by the U.S. Meat Export Federation, UltraSource, the new standard for innovation. Viscofan is a global leader and innovative partner in the food industry who provides solutions for the casing market.
IFA, slaughter and meat processing tools.
SmartLockerUSA.com, safe for butchers, simple to use, but not vegan friendly.
Hello, meat folks. Welcome back to the MeatsPad podcast. My name is Francisco Najar. I'm your host today. Very excited to have two very important members within the meat industry that I had the privilege and honor to meet this past summer in 2022 at Kansas State University in this meat short course that we host and we provide for the Mexican meat industry. And this year we kind of expanded into Central and South America as well. With us today with a lot of information on this new platform that the meat industry is utilizing, Billy Marcus from Marcus Technology, CEO and founder. Welcome. We also have Shanna Motl. Shanna Motl. Is that right, Shanna? I think
it's close enough. It's great.
Close enough. Okay. Great. I'm sorry about that. I think I want to start by asking you. I know, Billy, you're a third generation in your family being highly involved in the meat industry. If you can tell us a little bit about your background, where you're coming from, and I think that's going to lead us to the title of this podcast, the platform of the Marcus Technologies and what they do. So,
sure. I was raised in the Midwest. My grandfather was born in Romania, but moved at a young age, like really young age, to Chicago. Ended up working as a teenager in the meat industry, and ended up developing a sales route for Swift in Chicago during somewhat of the heyday of the meat industry in Chicago in the 20s, Great Recession in the 30s, and realized that there was an opportunity. The population was growing in Chicago, but the cattle numbers were growing south of there, and figured out a way to grabbed a cattle buyer and moved to Wichita, Kansas to open up a plant that serviced the needs of the population that's growing in Chicago, and kind of disintermediated the yield loss that happens during live cattle transfer, and harvested the cattle right where they were at, or at least close to, in Kansas, and was able to rail car the product right in. So kind of a disruptor. That business was the brand was XL. The business was KBI, Kansas Beef. Ended up growing, had a little bit of M&A activity, and ended up selling to Cargill in 1979. And my dad had come into the market in the 60s, and he was on the sell side. And at 79, at 39, he was retired, realized he didn't really want to stay that way, and ended up starting Marcus Food Company in 1980, which is a middle market trading company, helps with financing and finding products that the industry, in the fragmented industry, needs, and really grew that business for now it's 42 years. In 84, he had the idea that he could open up a company called Buckhead Beef in Atlanta, Georgia, and hired a guy named Howard Halpern to help run it, and ended up selling that to Cisco in '99. And so we've had multiple generations in the meat industry, in multiple sectors in it, and it's been great because I was able to come in '96, work the Olympics in Atlanta. One of my first jobs was cutting chain off tenderloins and learning how to portion control at that plant, and it kind of grew from there. So That's the family history of the meat industry up until this point.
Excellent. I think we can talk about this because I think during that short course, Shanna was telling me, maybe Shanna, you can jump in and tell us about this platform of yours. How is the meat industry utilizing this platform for different aspects? And I think before recording, you brought up the meat waste prevention that you're helping with, and I think this is a very broad subject, but I think we can start from there and we can follow up on some questions.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I'll talk more to the platform and kind of where that vision came from. I mean, Billy was being a little humble, was saying that's where we stopped up until this point now. But through the training that Billy did and kind of training under his father and his team there at Marcus Food Company, that's where this dream and vision of the platform really grew. Billy did take the time to kind of do a meat plant tour, working with folks that his dad had known for a very long time. So he did a lot of hands-on training, seeing the pain points throughout the industry. Then he started spending a lot of time on the desk as a traditional trader or just a traditional meat salesman in procurement, whether you're middle market or you're actually procurement for one of the large packers or a small company. You have pains every day of trying to find a home for your product and find the best deal for your product. So a lot of what Billy saw was you're spending so much time on the phone, you're spending so much time negotiating. There's a lot of confusion in what product this company has and what product that company wants. So the vision really created of this platform of why can't we have it all in one place, collect the data accurately, and connect company X to company Y and have that communication of how we can do that. And you brought up too with our food waste, a lot of that, because things take so long. If we all know, like a fresh truck of beef trim, it only has so long for its shelf life. But if you're on that phone for a couple of days trying to find a home for it, well, you've lost those couple of days. Or if it was an adulterated product, a lot of times that's going to end up either going to rendering or it could end up in a landfill. So we were with the platform, we're able to redirect a lot of product and find a better home for that product versus going to rendering or a landfill. Now, some things are just destined to that, but we're helping companies find those better options, which is part of our mission and our vision, is finding the best use for all proteins worldwide. It's not always just about the premium products like, hey, I've got this load of prime ribeyes, which everybody wants that, right? But it's how do we find a home for that adulterated beef trim rather than just sending it to rendering. So Billy, you definitely chime in there, but that's where a lot of this vision and dream came from.
Sure. I mean, if you think the cattle producers focus on their function, logistics focus on their function, processors are focused on just their function, even packers are focused on their function. It's a disjointed system. It's not by design. There's no single system that's stretching and connecting all of those different pockets of stakeholders. So the idea of this digitalization of the entire value chain, this need for these industries to operate off of real-time data is really important. And our thesis just is we have a company that has tenured management. We have the ability to execute and create our own market liquidity through active trading, meaning we utilize the tool to find and marginize these deals and invest that money into optimizing a platform that makes it easy. Our mission is to help businesses, make it easy to buy and sell protein. And right now it's fragmented. It's a very complex supply chain, and the fragmentations are everywhere. And so this idea that we have people that understand the industry enough to where when we find something, we can put it in our system, we can find where the best use is for that product. We believe that there is a future where the industry itself could use a tool like this. Right now, the tool is internal to us, and we believe that it's such a complex data set that the maturation of the platform requires iterations that most stakeholders don't have patience for. And really, the longer term play is a careful adoption of this platform in a way that solves the problems that are most prescient for companies. I would say, finding good freight options is prescient. I would say compliance services is a prescient in nature. I would say, better finance terms, leveraging, consumer grade financing options so that you de-risk a lot of what you're selling, and leveraging the tools that exist in other industries. That is something I think people would be interested in. Right now, there's very little interaction with those types of platforms. And so as we digitize and map the whole entire ecosystem, it enables us to deliver better tools at the industry, whether or not they know that they need it or not. The stakeholders will want it once they realize the efficiencies that they get from this real-time data, this access to information that just doesn't exist today.
Well, the one thing I wanted to add too that's hard to grasp, I think, for everyone, I think even folks within the industry don't realize how big of an opportunity there is in this middle market meat trading world. And it's the same for almost every segment in the food industry or any type of commodity item. There's this middle market because even the largest producers, the Tysons, the Cargills, the JBS, they don't have final contracts for everything that they produce. I mean, of course they want to, but at the end of the day, they're usually going to have truckloads of product they need to find a new home for. And that's how brands out there work, that they don't produce any of their own animals or commodity product. They're looking to buy that excess product from those large packers, the smaller packers, whatever it might be. There's not even, nobody knows the amount of product that's being moved in the middle market. And so that's what's hard for people to realize, the scope of how much is out there. And that's what we're here to do, to help simplify that and bring it all in to help with that exchange.
Since 1883, Ultrasource has been a trusted supplier to the food industry. Ultrasource provides superior kill floor, processing, packaging, and labeling equipment and operational supplies.
I think this is a very good conversation. And if I understand well, it doesn't matter if you're a small processor or you're a big processor. I mean, you can utilize this platform and take advantage of it, correct? I mean, you don't have to be, or sell this amount of beef a month to incorporate this into your system. Maybe you can elaborate more on, if I'm a meat processor and I want to take advantage of this platform, how do I do that? Is it an app? Is it a website? How can I go about subscribing or have access to it?
So right now, the real work is happening with our sales team, and our sales team are reaching out through the platform, in some cases through email communication through the platform, or just calling to connect and make that first kind of connection in a relationship that details many of the different offerings that we have at our disposal. And so if you're a small packer, let's say, there's a ton of new plants that are popping up in the scene right now because of grant money or just supply chain resilience due to the effects of COVID and just underlying effects of that. There are plants that are harvesting small amounts of cattle, and yet they don't have insight into how to fully utilize the products that come from that type of harvest. We can explain what needs to happen in order for those items to be saved. We can create markets for those items, even if it's as small as a couple cases. And the idea is fully utilize the carcass, creating revenue for these plants so that they have insight into making sure that they're profitable, and then really delivering on the promise that we're making it easy for them to actually sell those items. So that's on the supply side. On the buy side, there are companies that are needing to expand their attribute space. They might be a conventional buyer and they realize that they have customers that are moving into a higher attribute need. They have no insight into the visibility of the supply chain in regenerative, ABF never ever or grass-fed organic. They've only bought from conventional players. And so our sales reps would identify that opportunity and be able to communicate to the suppliers that are putting up those types of attributes in real time, being able to deliver at least an offering to that buyer in a way that changes the calculus of how much time it takes them to actually buy products. And I think that's our goal, is if we can make it easy and continually to drive what easy looks like in the industry, we create solutions. And in a complex market like this, those solutions are hard to come by. And so we want to continually invest in making it just easier and easier for our internal team to use the platform, in hopes that there is a external adoption, kind of a change management that gets people realizing that there's a tool out there that can solve a lot of the problems of the supply chain right at their fingertips in the future.
And what I was going to add with the platform piece, so imagine this company that is looking to buy grass-fed beef trim. They need that. Well, in our system, we have set up every account, every company, every specific location under those company names to be unique to what that location does. So this plant you brought up a plant in Okmulgee, like we would say, this is what they make, they're this type of producer, and these are the products that they sell. Or these are the products, these are the attributes. It's a grass-fed attribute, or it's ABF never ever. Imagine an old world of sales. You have your little black book and you have your own notes. You're like, okay, this plant here, they make this, and 2 weeks ago, they needed to sell this truckload of something. Well, now we have that all in the platform that you can sort by that. You can say, I want to find every company in our system that produces grass-fed beef, or I want to find every company in our system that's just in California and has been audited for regenerative standards. That's all right there. You don't have to keep track of your little black book and find all these contacts. We've built each location unique to themselves, what products they make, who's the buyer, what's the high attributes. And that's what makes the system so unique, is we are using data to connect everyone faster.
What are some of the delimitations that you may encounter in case, and going back to maybe like more like international trade? I mean, would you guys have any participation, let's say, I don't know, a company in Mexico or Central America or South America wanting to have a certain product? Can they also have access to that, or take advantage of this platform? Or are you exploring that maybe in the near future?
So it's funny you ask. We just did a deal with chicken skins into Mexico, and the company we were buying from were basically throwing this product out, did not have a home for it, and so that type of connection definitely exists. I would say that I'm a big proponent of focusing, and in order to be good at one thing, you have to almost knowingly be bad at something else. And so we really have focused domestically more. Just mapping the ecosystem of the stakeholders domestically is a challenge to keep that information up to date. But Mexico is definitely something that we want to move into more. Marcus Food Company does a lot of export into Mexico, and we are very active in selling into Mexico. But the technology, the platform that we built is mostly focused domestically. And when I say domestically, it includes Canada as well. But Mexico would be the next place that we would invest in.
It's so interesting to me, and maybe not focus a lot on the platform, but what made you create or come up with this idea? I mean, I know Shanna mentioned some of the opportunities that you encountered while growing up and being involved in the meat industry. And I think as a follow-up question, and this is all connected, because a lot of times, when we're talking, a lot of times you mentioned you're third generation. A lot of the times, the generations like down the road, they're not interested in the business anymore, or if they are, they want to just continue what what their parents or family used to do. And I think this is a very unique case because you understand the market and have encountered those opportunities, and not you didn't stop there. You created an alternative for the meat industry, for the meat industry professionals to utilize it. So I think that's good to bring up.
Well, I really came in the family business wanting to be the greatest trader that we had. I was really focused on just coming in and learning as much as I could about the industry, and realizing that it is a food system role. And it took me years to kind of think in those terms. At first, I was just coming in, I'm in the meat industry, but this really is a food system role, a food system play. And over the course of, I would say 15 to 20 years of realizing that this complex value chain, this entire value chain, it's so broad and very complex, and there was no easy way of reinventing yourself. I give an example. A customer told me that they needed choice briskets, and I ended up calling the 35 plants that exist out there. It took me a day and a half, only to come back to this customer, and that customer saying that they actually needed to be CAB briskets. And of course, I hung up the phone, and I was just, livid inside. I just wasted, a day and a half. The idea that there is a possibility to digitally transform this sector, even as narrow as this meat industry, and transforming this entire value chain by having a platform that would eliminate that problem, wouldn't just help me, it would help the entire industry, the entire world. And so, we really look at transforming this entire value chain end to end. And the ideas that I had were, if I could just make it so that I could find briskets, and then every other item, it would change the game for an entire industry. And it's not just meat that we're talking about. It's having cargo visibility, eliminating the need for companies to work at filling dead-headed trucks, bringing this built-in financing mechanism so that there's this opportunity to create credit as a service, almost like a fintech play or a supply side financing play, like bringing a consumer grade experience for business buyers so that they understand that they can have a 200-day terms. It costs a little bit more money. I think all of those things are things that in my previous state I only dreamed of, and I saw other industries going through these types of transformations, and I realized that the reason why this industry is slow to adapt is it's a very complex supply chain. It's a very fragmented, complex data set, and so we need these tools. These buyers and sellers need these tools in order to manage this complex supply chain. And I knew enough about it to where I could start building it and start using it and iterating it in a way that would make the whole team level up. And if we can make the whole team level up, and we can change the way that we go to market, almost like a new way of working within this space, then we have an opportunity to change the industry. And if we keep on building it in such a way to where it finances this innovation, there is an endpoint to where we can deliver it to an industry and change the way the industry works.
If you are a meat processor tired of you and your staff making endless phone calls to chase down order details from customers, SmartLockerUSA.com can help. Enjoy 100% customizable online order forms that automatically convert into a butcher sheet ready for your team. Track orders, send order and slaughter appointment reminders, track order history, and build customer profiles. SmartLockerUSA.com. Safe for butchers, simple to use, but not vegan friendly.
I love it. I think it resonated with me, everything you said. On it's complicated, as you say, because of the supply chain, and you think about it's not a new industry, and we have evolved a lot. And when you think about this, and you think, and I don't know, I have a lot of thoughts in my head now, but this platform, and along with, let's say, this podcast, right? I mean, we didn't have some channels, not only this one, but there's a lot of channels out there to help educate, to help connect the industry, to help connect the government, to help connect academia as well. I mean, we're evolving, and I think this is some alternatives to for the industry to become greater and greater. And we're talking about the U.S. only, but I get to see and experience some of the meat industry somewhere else. I mean, and I think we all want to be right there. I don't know, maybe in the U.S., maybe in Europe, other more developed countries, we'll get there sooner. But we're talking, just a small example, the Carla report sheet. I mean, how transparent some of the prices, maybe not be the exact prices on like the people will be trading meat, but they can give you a good indication. You think about maybe other countries in, you want to say Mexico or Central America or South America, it's not such a thing as I mean, you're going to go online and look at some of the current prices. You can do it. It's right there. I mean, USDA has that opportunity for people to see. Maybe I'm going off the tangent, but I don't know. It was just only an opinion of we're evolving as an industry, and I think just this pandemic, I mean, the hit, it just made it. We're gonna evolve quicker, I think, because that helped us. That gave us a lot of things, a lot of hits that, okay, we need to change now, because otherwise, I don't know. Maybe you can follow up on that, but I think it's a good conversation.
Well, I'm really glad that you brought up the pricing. So, I mean, and Billy, I saw his eyes light up too, that, yeah, you can look at the market pricing, and there's other companies out there that offer, Urner Berry, Osbono. I mean, there's other companies that offer market trends, market pricing. So that's one thing we've put into the platform as well, trying to tie pricing, historical pricing data based on those different reports, plus what we were actually moving products at. But what you look at as well, when you start dipping into the high attribute market, there's not a market for that pricing. There's no data for that unless you know specifically what you were trading at. So within our system and all the sales team, I mean, we have close to 25 sales team members just within Marcus Technologies. And we're able to see in our system that, a couple weeks ago, someone sold, grass-fed beef 50s at this price. So that helps with the negotiation for the next deal for them.
Yeah, when I think of pricing, I think of pricing optimization, and we're highly attuned to solving that for the industry, but we have to solve it for ourselves first. And so really another way of saying it is, how do we yield better decisions? Because we're already producing what I call risk-aware decisions by combining the judgment of our market experts with this powerful mathematical model, and matching SKU sets to the price information that we have visibility to. It's only a matter of time when we start introducing forecasting into the equation. But these are all things that are possible when you digitize this information in a dynamic way. And you had said something, regarding the pandemic. As much as I hate to say this, I think sometimes these things take a compelling event. I think there's been an extreme focus on supply chain resilience, and what it really means to solve that. Our offering is that we think that supply chain resilience happens by having a digital infrastructure that the stakeholders of the industry can communicate across in one broad channel. Some people think that it's building smaller plants, regional plants that cater to towns with critical mass of 300, 400,000 people, so that the products don't have to travel much. I think that there is multiple different ways to solve that. I would argue that one major one is having a standard communication tool, a standard set for how the stakeholders of the industry communicate, and that is exactly what we're building.
And that's kind of the core of my position, working on just the product set, the product catalog. I mean, we've talked about company X and company Y, like every company has a different way to communicate things. Every company has their own set of specifications that they follow, whether it's a cooked product or a raw product. There's a product code and specification that goes with that. So with our platform, I'm very focused on how do we simplify down to make it easy for the entire world to understand what that product is. I mean, yeah, we can talk a ribeye to a ribeye, but was it a 1x1? Is it grass fed? Is it packed in, individual cryovac packages? There's all these different things. And how can we communicate easier between those companies that we're basically that, I don't know, what do you want to call it? We're transcribing for those companies a simple way to know, okay, that's exactly what it is, because we're not looking at it just what company X said and what company Y called it. We're creating that standard of this is the simplest way to explain what you're doing, and we get rid of all the fluff.
I call it normalizing. We're normalizing the classification model of the taxonomy of our industry.
And then, you brought up the other countries as well. I mean, as we grow, we already, like you said, we're already doing some in Canada. That's a different grading system. So how can we help companies understand, what their grading system means in comparison to USDA grading system? And then we get into the world of Australian products. And then in different countries, grades mean different things. They don't hold as much value in different countries. So how can we help be that explanation to help connect what is similar and what is not?
Excellent. I think this is awesome. I think this is awesome. This is a great tool. I think we can wrap up by maybe you guys can show us or tell us how can I subscribe? How can I get access to this platform, and how can I start using it if I'm a meat processor?
So the current state is most companies are connected to us through traditional methods, phone, email, and I would say that we have the majority of the companies that exist in the U.S. that are retail, distribution, processing, packers, pet food. We've classified pretty much every business, and part of our goal is to find every employee that exists at each location, what's their function within that operation, so that we can communicate in real time with them, what's their email, what's their mobile, all the products that those companies either produce or use. So the way that we're interacting is, I would say, in a very traditional sense, over our platform's ability to communicate broadly across that very, very broad channel of anyone that buys meat and anyone that sells meat. And we use this communication tool in particular to find companies that either have said that they use that item or said that they produce that item. And then, when we need to, we get on the phone and we really, really iron out some of the finer details of that information. The future is where we have companies, putting their own information in, and like I said, we have tried that. Last year we had a version of our platform that did that, and I think there's an interesting problem set that we have to solve for, and I think it's a very complex space, and you need to have a significant undertaking, and not to underestimate the level of adoption it takes for this industry to adopt and technology. And so the next time that we offer this, it is going to solve a problem, a top 5 problem that our customer or vendor needs, and continually iterate on making sure that we're solving top 5 problems. And as we scale and as we grow and we get more companies putting information in the system themselves, it will only work if we're actually solving the problem that's actually relevant to them. Not the top 100 problem, but a top 5 to 10 problem. And that's kind of our focus, moving into a more integrated connection to the stakeholders that we want to do business with, which is pretty much everyone. And that's our focus for the future.
And I would say too, it's like, if you're listening to this podcast and you want more information, I mean, you can also connect with if you're a producer, packer, brand, whatever, you can connect with your procurement team and say, hey, are we working with Marcus Technologies? See what communication they have already had with us. Or you can also go to our website, which is marcustechnologies.com. And there's a button towards the bottom that says get started. And it's just a simple, your name, your company name, and that gets, sent to our sales team or customer service team to reach back out to you and see, how we can further that conversation and help you. And it's more than just if you're a packer, producer, brand. I mean, we're representing different organizations. We're representing different laboratories, if you're doing chemistry or micro testing or any type of testing, because we're also helping companies find those type of services as well. So anything within the agriculture industry we are capturing. It's not, you don't have to be, harvesting cattle or hogs or anything. I mean, if you are connected into the meat industry in any way, we are putting that into our system. So it only helps you find more customers or vendors for yourself too.
Yeah, to expand on we are cataloging every co-packer and their capacity and their capabilities. And we realize the explosion of the CPG world, just in jerky alone, these companies that are brands that need to expand their market, where do they go to find jerky manufacturing? And so we've identified hundreds of co-packers in the US specifically that handle certain types of functions, and we're able to communicate in real time to help those brands find processors, expand, and conduct their business. So it's just one example.
I know, and I have a lot of examples, and I think just to wrap up, I encounter a lot of folks that they're thinking have the resources and the money to build a new plant. They're beef producers, and sometimes some of the challenges and some of the fear is, okay, if I come up with 50 head a day, how am I going to sell that? So I think this is a good opportunity for also folks that are thinking about building a new plant, that they don't have to be afraid. They don't have to be afraid of not having a market. And I always just get back to them. I mean, you have a good product, you have a good beef, good genetics. I wouldn't worry about how to sell it. We're always going to find someone and somewhere to sell that product. And I appreciate for bringing this up. We'll put the website on this podcast. You asked me, what do you use YouTube or the video? So we'll put a video and we'll actually show how can they get access to this. And I want to thank you for your time. I'm sure there will be a lot of follow-ups with you, and I will direct them to your email. And thank you a lot for your time. I don't know if you want to add something to wrap up, Billy.
Just thanks, Francisco. I appreciate what you're doing. I've enjoyed your podcast for a while now, and just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity. We are very excited to be a part of MeatsPad.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and we'll see you guys pretty soon.